future, to some extent, whether we like it or not, of any country is fashioned by its intellectuals. But if you go to the universities of today, who are supposed to be our intellectuals, they have almost no connection with Indian life. Okay? So whether you go to Delhi, whether you go to Bangalore, the story is the same. And what they teach their students has nothing to do with the Indian society, has nothing to do with the Indian culture. For example, I didn't even know, it appears that part of in the Dalit movement, I didn't know it until about a week ago. It appears that because they consider Sanskrit to be Brahminical, they do not listen to music. Carnatic classical music they don't listen to because it's Brahminical in nature. No literature, no art, no poetry, because this is all Brahminical. Now, I didn't even know that until about a week ago. I didn't know that they were like that they would not listen to music because they consider it Brahminical.
Why, sir, you go to that extent? The great scholar Bananjay Govindacharya himself had told me once, I was so obsessed with Dvaita that M.S. Subbulakshmi has married an Advaitin and she is a devote of Kanchimat, so I should not listen to her music. I had such a thing in my mind. Later I realized music has to do nothing with Vedanta, so I started appreciating it. That's why I said, staunch scholarly belt, there also we have such problems. But now the society is supposed to be open. There we find such problems. So many myths. For that matter, Carnatic music was never allowed to be sung or learned by Orthodox Brahmins.
Oh?
Yes, because the first Orthodox Brahmin family woman to sing on the dayas is D.K. Pattamata.
Really?
Yes. Because it was the property of courtesans. That's why now there is a movement. Courtesans, they say that it was hijacked. Our dance and music were all hijacked by you Brahmins.
Brahmins are everywhere.
T.J.S. George has beautifully penned the biography of M.S. Subbulakshmi. New nodidira, sir. Beautiful, wonderful. Now I'm planning a novel, something like that on that. Beautiful one. MS, the title of the book is MS. There he has shown why Bengaluru Nagaratnamma was a courtesan and she was the instrumental cause behind the resurrection of Tyagaraja's Samaj. No Brahmins they cared for him. Tyagaraja was from the Brahmins family and later on initiated into Sannyasa, Nada Brahmananda, and she identified that and resurrected. And then she was called as Vidya Sundari. TVG says, when once she was in her last days, ಹೆಸರಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಾಗರತ್ನ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಭೋಗರತ್ನ, ಈಗ ಹಾಸಿಗೆ ಹಿಡಿದು ರೋಗರತ್ನ. Then DVG said, 2 more Ratnas are there. These 3 are of no importance. They wither away in the course of time. But what you did service through music and sacrifice, Ragaratna and Tyagaratna, they will remain. Totally Pancharatna. Like that, orthodoxy was there, but the new orthodoxy, that's very dangerous because it is aided with technology. There were people to shun. No, there are no people to shun. It's happened so. And many people even today in the newspapers and all write, Sanskrit was never taught taught to other people, it was not for the rest apart from the Brahmins. But all these are big myths. One Madhuravani, one example, there are so many such, a striking example. 17th century, later 17th century, Tanjavur lady, a courtesan in the time of Raghunatha Nayaka, she was a Shatabdhanini. Within a short time of 12 minutes, she could compose 100 unstuck verses while playing Veena. Tattadruk Ghatikardha Nirmita Shatashloki Panigramani. And she was initiated to all Shastras through a Nomin person, Govinda Dikshita, a staunch follower of orthodoxy and supposed to be a champion of Advaita and all that. Appai Dikshita's devout student was he, Govinda Dikshita, and Govinda Dikshita himself taught her. Govinda Dikshita's another son Venkatamaki, he taught music to her. Venkatamaki's Chakradandi Prakashika is renowned. And Raghunatha Nayaka himself ordered for a Kanakabhisheka in his court, and Mudaravani was the title given to her. Earlier she was Shukavani. She composed one epic poem on Ramayana, and another courtesan was there, Ramabhadraanga. She composed one epic on Raghunatha Nayaka, taking his day routine itself as the theme. So many such courtesans were there. In Andhra Pradesh, even today we see courtesans. These Dalita women, they knew Sanskrit well. They know that. While the last Devadasi of Kapaleshwaran temple from Madras, Mailapuram Gauri Amma, had impeccable Sanskrit. Padma Subramanian, she was taught by her. She told me that music, Sanskrit and dance, so they may not be literates, but they were learned. That used to happen. It is not as bad as they are picturizing. And Shankara in the Badarayana Sutra, he says that Apashudradhikarana, Shudra should not be initiated to Vedas. Because how he used and says, but even without Veda also, people like Dharmavyada, people like Vidura have become Brahmajnanis, and so Jnana can exist in spite of Veda, he says that. That is the conclusion. And in Chandogya Upanishad he says, when the argument goes on, the opponent asks, of course it is an imaginary debate, evam yadi vihitam bhavati, Veda api apramanam bhavet, Veda can also become apramana if you say so. Tadishyate eva asmavi, that's what we need. That's why Veda eva aha, yatra Veda avedaha iti. Veda itself declares that you have to reach the place where Veda is no Veda. Every day, any person initiated into Veda must and should follow one ritual apart from Sandhya Vandana, that is Brahma Yajna. Among the 5 Yajnas, Pancha Maha Yajnas, the first one is Brahma Yajna. And in the Brahma Yajna, one verse is a must to be recited. Richo Akshare Parame Vyoman Yasmin Devad Vishve Nishedu Yastan Naveda to Vichakarshati Yittat Vidustai Me Samasate. He who has the real Veda is within the internal space. Parame Vyoman, Parame Vyomni. Yastan Naveda, he who is not conversant with the internal Veda. Kim Vichakarshati, what is that he is going to do with the Rig Veda and other things? Those who know the internal Veda, they may samasate. All the external Veda flows into them. This is what everybody should follow, practice and recite during Veda Bhasa. The futility of Veda should be recited at the end. So, this is the spirit with which Shankara says, and Shankara giving a beautiful introduction to his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Sharirika Bhashya, the introduction Adhyasa Bhashya, never relies on any Vedic quotation. Without a Vedic quote, he logically, with the universal experience, establishes that by negating the superimposed things, aropa, how one's own self can be realized. And imameva asyam sharirikam imamsayam pradarsheshyama. This truth can also be shown in the scriptures, and that's what we are going to do. Means he has taken, he has gone to a greater depth with the experience, not with the bookish things. Though the importance of Shruti and all is there, he says again in the Brahma Sutra, na kevalam dharma jignasayamiva kevalam shrutyadih pramanam bhutavastu vishayatvat anubhavopi paramam pramanam upayati. Like in dharma jignasa, rituals and all, where Vedas, they have the last word. Here it is experience, Brahma. And so Vedas cannot be the ultimate. Here experience is very, very important. Like that, in the so-called traditionalist genealogy or lore, we do find such expressions. But in those days, without anything they could percolate, they could make these things percolate.
That is precisely the question.